And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life of a Home Cook. I'm so glad you're here tonight. I'm Leona Dooley of Ebony Ivy and Thyme, and I have here with me my sister by another Miss Denise
Hello.
Jordan of
How you
Homemaking with
guys doing?
Denise. Hey, how's everything, Denise?
You know what? Everything is going really well. And right now, the vibe for back to school is loud, not just for everybody else, but even for those of us who don't have little ones going back to school because you can't help but be affected by that shift in energy. So things are going well. I'm ready to talk about tonight's content.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was so funny because I was telling the big guy that what our topic was going to be tonight, of all times for him to ask.
Mhm.
And he said, "Well, what are y'all going to talk about tonight?" And I said, "We're going to talk about back to school." He said, "You don't have anybody going back to school." I said, "Yes, I do. I got a college student going back to school. I've got two high schoolers that are going to be starting, one middle schooler who's going to
Mhm.
be going into a brand new school,
Yeah.
and I have a third grader." So, when you think about all of those, even though they're not directly in our house, we're affected by their schedules.
You're right. And so I also have some going back to school too. Then I got a senior in college going back this year, be graduating in May, a sophomore in college going back. And then I've got a niece that's starting a new school, and she'll be a junior starting a new school. A granddaughter that's going to be a sophomore starting a new school. And then
Oh,
my other granddaughter who's going to be graduating eighth grade this year. So it's like we got that vibe. And then two in elementary school. So yeah, even though they don't live in this house, I'm still affected by that going back to school vibe.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. I've been on the phone today, and for anyone, the reality of it is that whether you are a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a outside of the home mom or dad, whether you're the auntie, the uncle, the grandmother, the grandfather,
Mhm.
we're all affected by the
Yes.
back to school schedule. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that because as the close relatives, we're usually trying to adjust our schedules in some way or another to be able to attend the concerts, the football games. I already got a football schedule, and so
I
that I
got a
can
play
attend.
schedule.
Yep, I got that because I have one who's in the marching band, and I have another who participates in all the drama. So there's things going on with
Mhm.
that, as well as the one who is in college, first year of college. So he's thinking that I'm going to come to whatever's going on there
Family
in
weekend.
college. Yes. So I am so excited. So, guys, whether you have little ones, teens, grandkids, whomever it may be, who may be stopping by after class, this season is going to bring a shift in energy and a shift in routine from the summer. And
Yes.
it's exciting. And I thought about it, in some ways, I feel a little sad because I'm so used to gearing up, going back to school as well. And so, even though I have to say, I enjoy my retirement. So let me just put
I'm
that out
enjoying
there.
mine.
I'm going to be honest with you, I'm enjoying it. But I do have moments of missing that back to school vibe, really, of getting back into the classroom. So tonight, we're going to talk about, for all of us who are affected by it, how to ease into the new rhythm because you have the ease into back to school, and then you have that ease right into the fall. And goodness knows we're not rushing the fall by any means. And Denise, I'm going to take a moment to just say this. There are so many things that are going on in the world
Yes.
that it is nice to have something fun, something positive that we can think
Focus on.
about
Yes.
and focus on because we've got fires burning up half the country and we've got
And that
flooding.
fire, those forest fires in Canada, they're
Yes.
drifting down here to Indiana. So we're getting
Yes.
quality air alarms based upon that smoke drift from
Oh
Canada. So yes,
no.
nope, nope. So we are a global society.
That is true. That is true. And many of our folks who come on Wednesday night are from that northern United States. And
Mhm.
I know they're being affected. I just saw it on the news where they're being affected by the drift. But in
Mhm.
some cases, they're getting hit by both sections. They're getting hit by the drifting of forest of the smoke from Canada. They're getting hit by the drifting of the West Coast fires. And then we have those who are in North Carolina, right down in South Carolina, but we have those who are in North Carolina who are, oh my goodness, the floods have been absolutely awful.
Yes.
And so, it seems like with North Carolina, once the flooding started, it just won't quit. And so, we have to think about that because we do have people who visit our channels regularly, who I'm sure have relatives who may certainly uh,
Yes.
be in those areas. So, we just pray that God is with them and that they are safe. And
Mhm.
that we continue to be safe because as we start to think about allergies and the allergy season and all of those things that are going on, these forest fires aren't a good thing.
No.
They just aren't a good thing for the health. So, all right, let's get into something fun. Now, for those of you, I see the chat is hopping. I'm so glad to see all of you. And I know um, we've got Jerry who's here with us. She was here. Jerry
Hey,
was here
Jerry,
bright
good
and
to see you.
early. I'm so glad to see you, Jerry. We're glad to have you. We got Hazel tonight. She says she missed
Hello.
last week, but she's back. I'm so glad you're here,
Welcome.
Hazel. And we have Tamika. Hello, Tamika.
Hi,
And
Tamika.
who's with us. We've got Tambra who's with us. And
Hey,
I know
Tam.
Tambra's got some little ones that she's trying to get them all set up and ready for school as well. Alexandria,
Hey,
hello. We're
Alex.
glad you're here with us. We have Southern Ways with Felicia. We are glad you're here. Darlene is here. Hello, hello. Molly's here. And Ola's with us, and
Hi.
Ola's coming from with us from San Antonio. And hold on one second, let me scroll down. I got so carried away with that. Um, Ola said she is so glad that she doesn't have back to schoolers. Well, yes and no. It's a mixed bag. You kind of
Mm-hmm.
miss them, but yet and still, yes, I am. It's a lot of things you have to do to get ready for that. But Emma, we're glad
Hi,
to have
Emma.
you. And we've got Stephanie here with
Hey,
us. Hello,
Stephanie.
hello. I hope you are well.
Yes.
And Ronnie's with us. Hello, Ronnie.
Hey,
Ronnie's with us
Ronnie.
bright and early today. Leah's with us tonight from
Hi, Leah.
Indiana.
Hey,
And
fellow Hoosier.
woo-hoo-hoo. And Sarah's here. Sarah said, her son is 5 and starting kindergarten this fall. She said she can't believe it. She says she needs ideas for his lunch and she wants him to have a warm lunch sometimes. And should she use a thermal cup? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about lunches and some of the things that you might opt to use, and certainly give you some ideas of some things that you might be able to put together for lunch, because lunches today can be a little challenging because not only are you looking out for your child's lunch, but you're trying to make sure that whatever you put in there doesn't cause an allergic reaction with anybody else. Ola said that the drought, the fires, the heat over 100, she said um, all of that is going on in Texas. And so she's concerned, I think, about the lack of vaccines this fall, and
Oh,
that many will be sick. And that is something to
I
think
think
about.
that's going to be a problem.
Yes, that is going to be a concern. Renee, we're so glad to have you tonight. Ola says she's heard that many schools won't have free lunches anymore, and it's so sad. And we're going to talk about that as well,
Yeah.
because that is a definite concern and one that many states are having to work through. Patty Pooh, I love it.
Uh-huh.
Um, she said to be prepared for back to school sickness in the first couple of months. She said it usually happens when they start in a new building, whether it's elementary, middle, high school, or college. You know, Patty, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely right.
And I know that just even for myself, going back to school, that first month or two, it always takes me a while to kind of build up that immunity again to get
Hmm.
ready for the little rascals coming in. So we have to think about all of that. And Terry is with us tonight.
Hey, Terry.
Hello, hello. We're so glad to have all of you here. Now, these are the things that we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about how to ease into your new routine. We're going to talk about some of the pantry must-haves and some of the school lunch essentials that you may want. We're going to also talk about setting up a dedicated snack and supply station. And some of these things that we're going to talk about, I'm going to have a little video later along in the month of August that will also kind of knock on those doors as well, so that you'll have a few more where I can actually get into the kitchen and show you the setup. And also, we're going to talk about planning, because planning is key. And we
Hmm.
want to plan simple meals for those hectic school nights. So we're going to support each other. I'm glad so many of you came with questions and things that you've asked. Some of you asked in advance, and we'll talk about those things. And so, Denise, you want to jump in here just for a moment and talk a little bit about what you've brought as well from the
Oh,
homemade
okay.
pie?
So you want me to go ahead and tell me where you want me to start?
Just talk a little bit about what your plans are tonight, or what you're going to show everybody.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So
Topic wise.
I'm Miss Denise from Homemaking with Denise, and I teach traditional homemaking for today's homemaker. And me and Miss Leona are trying to help you guys get everything sorted out for the back to school season. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was some pantry essentials to have to kind of help you hit the ground running. So I pulled out a few things. Actually, I pulled out a lot of things. So I always have a lot of stuff to put away when the show is over. But hubby will help me do that. So that's kind of nice. But I pulled out some things for some absolute pantry essentials. And then I also have some equipment that me and Miss Leona talked about. Now, I'm in my kitchen and she is not. So because she couldn't get into her kitchen tonight, I pulled out some of the appliances, the small appliances that she and I would recommend for you guys. So we both are going to have these things in our description box for you guys to check out. But since I was able to put hubby out on the porch tonight, I was able to get into the kitchen and pull all this stuff out. Her hubby is in the family room watching TV, and we can't put him on mute. So I've
Yeah,
got
I
that.
had nowhere to send him,
Yeah.
but
And I've even got a few odds and ends kind of foods and things that we talked about that we can share with them too. So that's what we've got. So let me just ask while I'm talking about what I got ready. So we want to have you guys think about what can you do to be prepped before that school bell rings. Now, the kids in my community, in our biggest school corporation, Fort Wayne Community Schools, they start on Thursday. But Southwest Allen, East Allen, and Northwest Allen, they started on Monday. So all the corporations and the private schools, the Catholic schools, the Lutheran schools, and the others, all of them will be starting within this week at some point. So all the schools will be in force by the end of the week. And the traffic was terrible this morning, just driving to an
yes.
appointment. So be alert for school buses and little people riding bikes or walking. So it's already started. So just be extra careful.
Absolutely. You know, I'm surrounded by where I am by littles, and the school buses are definitely rolling this week here. And I had several moms who were going, "Oh my gosh," you know, they were pulling their hair out trying to think of what to do. And do you all have tax-free weekends for purchasing?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, South Carolina does. I know Virginia has tax-free, and I think Kentucky has tax-free too. But they had tax-free weekend this past weekend, and I tell you what, I made the mistake of going in one of the stores, and oh my God, it was so crazy. Every little one was in there. They were trying on shoes, they were trying on pants, they were trying on shirts, and it was everywhere. I tell you what, Walmart looked like it was just wiped when everyone got through because they have all the school list and all the
Mm-hmm.
supply lists there. But
Well,
at the
we don't
same
have tax on food in our state. So
but
there's
what
no
about your
sales
school
tax
supplies?
on food. But school
Oh, okay.
supplies don't count as food. Anything that's, like edible in the grocery store,
Hmm.
food items, there's no tax
Hmm.
on it. But those other things, you got to pay taxes. Uncle Sam
Well,
wants.
see now our there's usually used to be two tax-free days,
Mm-hmm.
and so anything pertaining to school was no tax. So
Mm-hmm.
this whole entire weekend, they could pick up all their school supplies, all their clothes, shoes, anything related to school, they could pick up and not have to pay tax. So it's a great time to be able to shop.
Mm-hmm.
So moms took advantage of it. I tell you what, it was crazy. And so, but it was fun being out there just to see them. So, first of all, tell us in the chat, what are the age ranges of the children that either you work with or you may keep after school, or who are in your life who certainly that you may keep up with? It could be that you have a niece or a nephew that you may
Mm-hmm.
have every now and then in your life who's going back to school. So let us know those age ranges so that we know kind of what we're talking into. And it could be grandkids. And I know we kept
Mm-hmm.
kids for the first 4 years, and it was for two retirees and three kids under the age of 4. That was a challenge. And so but the lunches were done, the clothes were clean, and they were ready to go out that door, and homework was always done when they got ready to go to school. So keep that in mind. Now, for those of you who may not know, we have two separate channels. We have Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, and Homemaking with Denise. And so be sure, please, those of you who are new to each of our channels, please be sure to check out each one individually. If you are not already subscribed, please make sure that you do. And certainly give each of us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate that because that's what YouTube likes, and when YouTube's happy, we're happy
We're
along.
happy.
Now, first, we're going to ease into the routine. So we're going to start with the biggest shift. Now, last month, Miss Denise, we talked about trying to just get us ready.
Yes.
We talked about our self-care, and certainly, let me say, we can't stop.
No.
We have to keep, we got warmed up, we got into that routine of self-care, that we did it enough that we want to be able to carry it into the rest of our life, to be honest with you. But in addition to that, we've got to be able to work that routine into the routine of everyone else. So
Yeah.
now we're bringing in the children's routine of being able to get them into the first day of school, because that first day of school changes everything,
Yes.
everything. And so don't wait until the first day of school to try to put it all together that morning. I do know of people who do that. And not only are moms frazzled, the children are frazzled.
And Leona, I think that's a good point that you make there. It's probably a good idea, as you said, to ease into this routine. So if you would start the week before or even 2 weeks before, getting the kids to bed just a little bit earlier, because we can be a little lax in the summertime, letting them stay up late, watch TV, play games, talk, chat, enjoy family time. But once it's time for school, those kiddos need to be in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest, depending upon how old they are. Teens, maybe 10 o'clock. But they need to be in bed at a reasonable time. But if they've been used to staying up till whenever, it's hard to all of a sudden say, okay, 8 o'clock, go get the PJs on, time to go to bed. So you want us the week or 2 weeks before, ease them into that bedtime routine, and then also start working on that getting up routine in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You are absolutely right. And the good thing about that is that so often with that routine, as we're teaching, we're
Mm-hmm.
really, it's a teaching method of being able to get them eased into the routine so that last night when the sun is still shining,
Mm-hmm.
because unfortunately at 8 o'clock, we're looking at daylight, and
Mm-hmm.
the sun is still out, and it's a little hard to get them to calm down. So it may be that that may be a good time at 8 o'clock, if that's whatever the bedtime is to sleep. That may have to start to be story time, to
Yes.
gather them at the bed and tell a story or read a story, and just to quiet them down. My Several of my grandchildren are used to the quiet noise
Oh,
that you can
yes.
turn on, and so I'll go in, I'll turn that on, I'll read them a quiet story. We'll talk a few minutes, we'll say the prayers, and then the older ones in their room, they can continue to read, those that can
Mm-hmm.
read. But the younger ones, I'm putting them down. We all understand they have to go to sleep, because the reality of it is that sleep is so important. It's
Essential.
important for them so that they can think the next day. And so that means moms, dads, we need earlier dinners, if at
Mm-hmm.
all possible. Or it may mean that we really go back. You've probably had a very relaxed dinner time. I know I'm kind of rigid with dinner time. Honey, 5 o'clock, dinner's on the
Five
table.
o'clock dinner time. Five
It is.
5:30 dinner was on the table.
That's right. It's
But
on the
you know,
table.
Leona, that being said, because I talked to my daughter and my sons, and it's not that easy for them. That's
Mhm,
easy for us to say because, if you were like you and my husband both, as school teachers,
mhm,
had a relatively finite day. Now, when he was
mhm.
coaching, it might be 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock by the time he got home. But if it wasn't his coaching season, he was home by 3:30, 4 o'clock most of the
Right.
time. He left at 6:30 going, but he was usually home by 4 o'clock. And
Mhm,
when I was working at the bedside, I worked the day shift or either the evening shift, but I was home by 3:30, 4 o'clock, that kind of thing. When I was teaching at the university, depending upon what days I had class, if it was a clinical day or whatever, I might be home anywhere between 3 and 5. But by that time,
mhm,
my kids were older. So when I talk to my sons, though, especially my one that lives in Georgia, he drives an hour to get the kids to school, an hour to
ooh,
pick them up, and then maybe another 30 minutes to get to work. So by the time he's home and they're getting dinner on the table, it's close to 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock. And there have been times,
mhm,
depending upon after school activities, that it was almost 8 o'clock when they were getting dinner on the table. So
mhm,
one of the things that I started doing was if I knew it was my husband was going to be late because of coaching, I went
mhm,
ahead and got dinner on the table by 5:30 for me and the kids. And then I would
mhm,
set his plate to warm in the oven or something like that
mhm,
so that he could eat when he got in. And I
mhm,
think we have to start looking at that kind of thing as we
mhm,
move into this routine. So if you've got older kids, and even not just older kids, because when we were talking to Nina the other day, and she was saying her sons, their kids got activities to do.
mhm,
So they could have football or
mhm,
cheerleading or band or a number of different things that they do after school that it
mhm,
could be 5:30 by the time they get home, which means we're putting a plate aside for them.
mhm,
So we just
mhm,
have to look at everybody's schedule and have that schedule on the refrigerator or either on the wall in the kitchen so that we know what
mhm.
that schedule is so we can have that dinner ready when they get there.
That's true. That's true. Now, typically, and I know you're gonna show this, but typically, this is when I really start working the crock pot.
Oh,
and I know you probably have one somewhere,
I got it
but
out for you.
oh my goodness. What did we do? That was, I remember when I got married, I think I got 2 crock pots.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best gift of all the gifts that we have is the crock pot. And
Mm-hmm.
I had my original crock pot until 5 years ago. And it still worked.
I think I
And
still got mine out in the garage.
yeah, and they last forever. But that crock pot is a lifesaver.
Well, and it's a lifesaver because you can put soups, stews, chilies. You can
Mhm,
even put like, a roast, just different kinds of
mhm,
meals in here, one pot meals. You could put those meals in the crock pot, put it on.
mhm,
If you're a stay-at-home mom, you could put it on early in the morning and turn
mhm,
it off before, say, 4:30, 5 o'clock, that kind of thing.
mhm,
If you're working outside the home, I don't know if you're going to want to turn it on and leave the house. Some
mhm,
do and some don't. I'll leave that to
mhm.
your discretion. But
Yeah,
um, you know, if you could certainly put it in the crock pot before you go to bed that night, and then take it, turn
absolutely.
it off when you get up,
Mhm,
and then set it in the fridge so that it's not sitting out on the counter all day.
mhm.
And then just warm it up when the family is ready to eat. But yeah, this a crock pot is certainly a game changer.
Absolutely. And I think I saw someone who was saying in the chat that they were going to school as well. And I've been there of where, I've been working, had class, taught
Grad school.
school,
Woo.
had babies, and trying to shift where, the schedule. And so the big guy came home and he was responsible for making sure the kids ate. And so what I would do when I would come home at night after class, then I would come in, put the crock pot together, turn it on, let it run through the night. When I got up in the morning, I'd put everything away and into the refrigerator. So all he had to do was to take out what he needed, and warm it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, those are the kind of things that, that we may have to certainly look at, especially if perhaps you may not be the one. It could be that your older children are going to be the ones and we didn't have that back in the day, but
No.
thank goodness that we have them now, where we can set up our Instapots, our
Mm-hmm.
crock pots. There are just so many. There are crock pots now that we can plan.
Well, the
Go
Instant Pot, though, I think is so good, particularly for our working moms, because,
ahead.
like, if we think about Ashley or Trey, they
Hmm.
can get home, say they get home around 4 o'clock, they can
Hmm.
throw something in the Instant Pot and have it ready in an hour.
Exactly.
And so that is really good for them, too. So,
It
um,
is.
and they're just, and you can do so many things with an Instant Pot. When I look
Mhm.
at the menu, you can cook rice in it. Let's see. I
Mhm.
don't have my glasses here, so let me see what it says.
And you've got a rice cooker too. So, and well,
Yes.
both of us do. We have an aroma rice cooker, which is so convenient as well.
So you can do meat, stew,
Hmm.
bean. You can do chili. You can make a cake. You can do eggs. Slow cooker porridge, which is like cream of wheat and oatmeal.
Hmm.
Multigrains, rice, steamed, sterilized yogurt, and pressure cook. So you can do a lot with your crock pot. And yeah, I
Hmm.
got the rice cooker down after you mentioned it. I have that. So you talk about what you can do with the rice cooker. I just
Yeah.
put rice
Well,
in mine. But
um, with plant-based cooking, just for two, I use my rice cooker and cook a meal. I can do a one-pot meal in there.
really, can you cook lentils in here?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just started using my rice cooker thanks to you and Carol last year.
Uh-huh. I love my rice cooker. And it's just so convenient. And for someone who just wants to warm up if they've already prepared, sometimes um I will set up 2 crock pots and prepare
Uh-huh.
2 different meals. And then that way I can put one away
Mm-hmm.
for another day and use the one, whichever one that I decide that I'm going to
Now
actually
that's
cook
really
from.
smart to plan ahead like that. I like that
Mm-hmm,
idea because then you're cooking once and you've got two different meals for it. And like you said, setting
mm-hmm,
up two crock pots is a great idea. And then the rice cooker, one of the things that I will do with it now, since I've
mm-hmm,
finally learned how to use it, I'll make like 3 cups of rice and then I'll put it in the
mm-hmm,
fridge. And my husband loves rice. And when he
mm-hmm,
cooks fish, he likes to have rice as a side dish. So then he
mm-hmm,
can just scoop some out and then he can have that. But
mm-hmm.
also you can use rice as a breakfast cereal. So for you
Absolutely.
moms that are, wanting something a little different besides cold cereal, you can use rice as a warm breakfast cereal. You can put
Mm-hmm,
a little milk, a little sugar, some butter, maybe a little bit of
mm-hmm.
either
Cinnamon.
cinnamon or nutmeg or something
Mm-hmm,
like that, just to
mm-hmm,
kind of give it a little bit of a sweetened taste. You can do that or not. You can just do the butter,
mm-hmm,
and a little bit of milk in it. But you can certainly have rice for breakfast as something
mm-hmm,
different. But it's also something quick as a side dish during the week.
mm-hmm.
So you might put something in the crock pot, but then you've got your rice that you've already cooked on Monday, and it's good in the refrigerator for 3 or 4 days. So you make
Oh,
enough that
yeah.
portion it out. So there's that.
Yeah, and even with your rice cooker, it's nice too because you can prepare the rice. Sometimes I'll do it on the weekend. Put the rice into Ziploc bags, and you can portion them out, and that way you can freeze the portions and have them in. I call it my little rice library of where
Mhm.
you've taken your rice and you have it in, and you can
Oh,
stand
okay.
and have it into your freezer. And that way you can just pop one out and whatever it is that you're going to do with for that night, throw it into the microwave and your rice is ready. You don't have to
Hmm.
cook it from scratch. Or if you're going to fix chicken and rice, say if you're going to have chicken and rice soup, then you would just pop out maybe and they're usually, even though they're frozen, they're so easy to just
Are
manipulate. You can just
those
break
those
it.
bags that you can reuse?
These are the
Do you have
reusable.
those in your description box? Because I have got to get some of those.
Okay, I think I do. I'm pretty sure I do. If not, I'll make sure I do. But I love these, and they come in all different colors, and
Hmm.
they wash well. And now, typically, I'll be honest with you, I don't. I have some designated for, say, greasier things like
Hmm.
meats or whatever. Of course, now that I'm kind of doing more plant based, I don't have to worry about that. But when I do, I have certain ones because what happens is sometimes they'll get discolored depending
Mm.
upon what it is, or if I put chili or something like that in there, then
Tomato
it.
based.
Mhm.
One
So I
other
try
thing
to
that
use.
I'll do sometimes too, and I like these are 2 cups.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
2 cup serving. So let's say I
Mhm.
make chili or that zupa, no,
Zuppa to
the
the
pasta e
pasta fagioli.
fagiolo that you taught us all
Mhm.
how to make. I'll put it in like single serving dishes like this. So now if I'm putting it
Mhm.
aside for me and the hubby, I can put a couple of these in the freezer, and now I've got the pasta e fagioli that I can just take out, let it thaw, or pop it in the microwave. For you
Mhm.
with littles, this 2 cup serving might feed 2 or 3 little ones, but you can pop these in your freezer very easily. And I really like having these in. And the nice thing about these is that they are stackable. So I can just kind of stack them. And
Yes.
I know you've got some. You like those little snap lock things?
I do. I have the snapware and I use the snapware just like that as well. And, it's funny. I just ordered a new set of the little 2 cups
Hmm.
because they're so nice. And, when the grandkids were just here a couple of weeks ago, I had prepared tomato sauce, pasta sauce for them. And I had the pasta separate from that, but had the main sauce. And so I did it in a little 2 cup serving. So we were going to the beach, they were going to the pool, they were going shopping, they were going all over the place. So whomever was here and needed to eat, they could pull out the container with the sauce, the container with the pasta, throw it in the microwave, bam, they had a meal. And so that's a good way too when kids are coming home at different times and they're old enough
Yes.
that they can
Yes.
prepare for themselves and for maybe a younger child who may be there
Mm-hmm.
with them. Because with the time schedule of the high schools and the middle schools and the elementary schools, I know in our state, the high schoolers typically get home before everybody, so they're home long enough to be able to warm up whatever it is. And if
Mm-hmm.
the middle schoolers can pretty well do it for themselves, but if
Mm-hmm.
as an elementary child comes home, they may be able to warm up a snack for them as well. And
Yeah.
so that gives him an opportunity, but saves mom and saves time. But does it require a little bit of planning? Yes.
Yes.
And that's something to think about. Now, so during our shift in routine, we've got to think about, we might be able to start where maybe during the summer we've had a little earlier dinner. We may have to shift dinner time just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
depending upon who's going to be the one doing the cooking for that particular evening. If dad's the first one home, he may be the one who's actually putting dinner on the table. And so it may be more convenient to do, instead of my rigid 5 o'clock, it may be better to do 6 o'clock because it's
Mm-hmm.
close to when everybody's home. We have to think about breakfast. We're back into that breakfast. And um, I'm not a breakfast person per se, but I don't eat breakfast until lunchtime. But for
I think breakfast is important though, because here's something, and I don't know if some
mhm,
one of our viewers kind of leaned into it a little bit already, but a lot of schools have free breakfast and free lunch. They have breakfast
yes,
and lunch, and
yes,
with some of the different cuts in programming, a lot of the
mhm,
school meals are going to go away, which means that moms are going to have to make breakfast at home before that child gets to school. And if lunch is also gone by the wayside, they're going to have to
mhm,
figure out how to pack that too. But you're talking about breakfast right now. So we have to look at things that are really, really quick for breakfast. And like I
mhm,
said, I like rice is one. The other thing I
mhm.
like is cream of wheat. And then,
Yes,
of course, my kids call
oatmeal.
porridge. And then oatmeal. And then there's
Mhm,
overnight oatmeal, which I've never tried,
mhm,
but I do like
mhm,
oatmeal. And, you can put your oatmeal in the crock pot, not
mhm.
the crock pot, in the
It can go in the rice cooker.
yeah, in the crock pot. You could put it in the crock pot, and then
Mhm.
you could end up with like all kinds of like with apples and all kinds of things in it, and maybe even make enough for a couple of days, and it will keep
Right.
in the refrigerator.
Mhm.
So
And
there's that.
a good thing too to think about as we're thinking about those schedules. Now, for me, my rice cooker, I pull that rice cooker out sometimes more so than I do even my slow cooker. It just depends on the quantity of whatever it is that I'm trying to
Hmm.
fix. But just for a normal everyday quick dinner, I know that at about 1 o'clock I can throw whatever it is into that rice cooker and bam, by dinner time it's done. So yes, it becomes my little small slow cooker as such. But that's another way that if you want a hot cereal, then that's a good way to be able to have everything pre-measured and dump everything into whether it's the good thing about the rice cooker is that it's going to cook faster, and so you can put whatever that is, everybody can get their showers and get ready. And by the time they're ready for breakfast, whatever it is that you're trying to prepare is ready. And so it's just a matter of being able to have it there and prepared. So
I
that
like
means
the idea of using the rice cooker. I'm going to have to give that a try of putting some oatmeal in the rice cooker because we do like that. And a
mhm,
lot of times we'll buy the 90-second oatmeal, the oatmeal that comes in a little packet, and
mhm,
you put the water in it and put it in the
mhm,
microwave. However, most of it tends to have sugar in it and maybe some things you
mhm,
may or may not necessarily want your family to have. And it
mhm.
can be a little bit pricey too if you're trying to save on your
Yes.
budget. So that may
Mhm,
or may not be an option for you. You have to decide if during the week you're going to splurge for that expense because it's something that you need or not. So now you get to decide how that works for you. But the oatmeal as the high cereal. The other thing I thought about, and I was kind of, while we were getting ready, I just kind of walked around pulling some things out of the freezer or the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Bagels.
Yes.
Bagels or English
Mm-hmm.
muffins, those are
Mm-hmm.
nice things to have. And the English muffins, you can make your own like egg McMuffin kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can even get those little, I got some kind of little thing that is shaped round and you can cook an egg in it and it comes out
Mm-hmm.
round and fits on a
Mm-hmm.
muffin. So you can make those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
You can also do breakfast burritos. Now I don't have
Oh
any
yeah.
of those tortillas, so I got out my taco shells as
Uh-huh.
to make you think about the Mexican theme. But you
Mm-hmm.
could buy some tortillas and you could
Tortillas.
do
Mm-hmm.
the breakfast burritos and different things like that. As long
Mm-hmm.
as you make sure you keep some, some red, yellow, green peppers, some black
Mm-hmm.
beans. You've got your eggs, you can do your bacon. You can do all kind of fun things. But Leona, you were talking about something earlier, which I didn't bring down, but I think you said you had the planner.
I got it. I got it. And you know what? In fact, I brought two
Okay.
because I did, and that's certainly something to think about. And as I started thinking about our planner, we're going to need to work it. And the reality of it is that I like to color code according to the children, and everybody gets a color. The children get a color. I have a color. Dad, Papa has a color. Whatever the family may be, everybody has a color on the calendar. And this is a good place to be able to keep up with the schedule. This stays on the kitchen counter.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing about it is that I'm able to see it, they're able to see it. They can write in it if they write well. They can write so that we can all read it. But I also keep these the little square post-it notes,
Yes.
and these are so nice. So give each person a color, and I just picked up a pack of four because that's all I really need for my household. But they do have another set with another set of colors, and so if you need an extension, so say you have five children, six children, or six people, whatever the number is, you can certainly, they can write whatever it is on their schedule. And because I'm sure some of you have been doing doctor's appointments. I know like next month we got doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. And so I'm doing some of the running around, because mom and dad are working. So I made sure that people are going wherever they need to go. But this is a good way to be able to put this directly onto the calendar. And once it's on that calendar, then it's etched in stone. But should something happen and we need to change it, it's just a matter of popping the post-it note
Well,
off.
you showed us how to do that also with our meal planning. And that's
Absolutely.
what I was thinking of is that, like they got to plan ahead for that, for those
Hmm.
meals, especially if they're going to do pancakes or waffles or something like that. Now,
Hmm.
as we look at saving money, you
Hmm.
can make those pancakes and waffles yourself. You can buy one of those little waffle makers that they have like in the little ends where you can flip it over. Those are very
Hmm.
reasonably priced. And so you can have one at home. You can make waffles ahead of time, pancakes ahead of time, put them in a baggie and put them in the freezer. And then on the
Hmm.
morning, you want to have pancakes, take them out, put them in the oven to warm them up. So just like you're buying Legos, not Legos, Eggos, or some of the other frozen pancakes, you can have your own. But as you said earlier, you just have to plan ahead and then put it on the planner what you
Hmm.
want to have for breakfast each morning.
Hmm.
And the other thing I forgot, well, this can be for snacks, but can also be for breakfast, is
Absolutely.
fresh fruit like apples. You have an apple slicer, and
Hmm.
then depending upon how many kids you have and how big they are, now we've got an apple with 8 pieces that you can share between 2 or 3 or 4 littles, depending upon how big
Hmm.
they are. And it's a nice little snack that they can have with their breakfast or they can have when they come in from school.
And that's a good way to be able to prepare some quick cooked apples. You can either bake them or you can certainly prepare them. If you prepare them, say for Saturday morning, when you have everybody at home, you have a nice breakfast. Prepare enough that you can have some for later, and then that way you can put them into those little 2 cup or 1 cup containers.
I love
And
cinnamon apples on pancakes and waffles.
oh, and you can take those out, put it on a bagel, a nice toasted bagel. They
Mm.
are so good. And Miss Denise made some delicious applesauce.
Hmm.
And so you can use that. And we've got apple butter recipes that are out there. But being able to use those and spread them on our toast or on the bagels. Now, what I like to make, and I do this for the big guy, I've been doing it all summer. If I don't have time to make biscuits, and certainly during the
Mm.
summer, I'm ripping and running. So I will buy grands, but I get the
Oh,
eight
the
pack,
grand rounds.
the grand biscuits, and I make them. And I get the little log of sausage, cut it into 8 slices, cook the sausage, and bag it. Have the bagels, have the sausage. I've got the sliced cheese, and then I'll take enough eggs. I usually just scramble a few
Mhm.
eggs, and then that way he can take a scoop, put it right there on his biscuit, put his cheese, his sausage, and either run it into the
Sausage
oven
egg
or he
biscuit,
can put it
just
into
like
the mic.
McDonald's.
He's got his sausage and egg biscuit ready to go. And so that is a very easy way of being able to put a nice hot breakfast together, something that they don't have to stop by McDonald's and get. And for those of us who are a little older, and cereal may not necessarily be on the list. But
Hmm.
Miss Denise, we were talking before the show started, and prices. Oh my
You
gosh.
know, I have to say, prices have gotten a little crazy. So my sister, Blue Skies, and I went to the movies before the show to see the Jurassic Park, the new Jurassic Park, and a box of popcorn was $9, and a pop or a soda, as some people call it, was like
Mhm,
almost $7. So if
mhm,
movie prices are up like that, let's talk
mhm.
about coffee prices and grocery prices.
Oh, oh, let me tell you, it is just crazy. And I think what distresses me the most is the fact that number one, so many of the breakfast programs are being knocked out
Hmm.
in certain places, and so are they cutting back?
Hmm.
And so the quality of what children are going to get for breakfast has certainly diminished. They
Hmm.
might be serving something, but it may not be what you'd really like for the children to have. And so, as you think about that, and also, I think about lunches. As it was, lunches weren't what they really should be to begin
Hmm.
with, in most cases. And so, as you think about those types of things being served, you may certainly decide as parents or grandparents who are getting children out the door that you may want to prepare the lunch as
Hmm.
well as the breakfast. And of course, there are breakfast bars,
Hmm.
and I typically keep a
Oh yeah.
basket breakfast bars, both for breakfast and for snack.
And
And
you
so,
could make breakfast muffins too.
yes, yes, lots, and they even have these cute little recipes now for it's like a granola type cookie, but it
Hmm.
looks like a cookie, but it's really breakfast,
Hmm.
and um, and it even has protein in it where you put a scoop of protein
Yes.
in, and so those are nice to have. The kids can grab one of those and take it out. So
Well, there's one thing
I,
that I want to mention real quick.
mhm,
For many kids, if they're catching the bus, some buses don't allow kids to eat on the bus.
that's
So
right.
if they're not allowed to eat on the bus, then you're going to have to feed them before they get out the door. Because I know one little girl well, she was probably almost in high school, that got
Mhm.
kicked off the bus because she brought a bowl of cereal and milk to eat on the bus. Now, she knew she was doing
Mhm.
wrong and had the nerve to even argue with the bus driver. But that being said, if they're if the protocol is no eating on the bus,
Mhm.
then you might want to feed them whatever before they get out the door.
Exactly. So that goes back to that schedule. We've got to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we're on point for the schedule and get the kids back. And we have to hold them accountable. And,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that we definitely want to try to stay in tune with. So we've got our routines, our simple breakfasts. We've
Mm-hmm.
got alarms that we need to make sure that we're setting in advance, if at all possible, before school starts, and just getting the children back. But at the same time, that also means that mom and dad have to be on point too, because the laundry has to be done, the clothes have to be ready, the groceries have to be in place. So
Yes.
you can't dilly dally, once school kicks in, because then if you're off, it's going to put you into a tizzy for the
Right.
next week.
And one thing, as since you're talking about this, that I think that could be very helpful as we talk about that self-care routine is if you get up 30 to 45 minutes before your family does, so that you can take care of you. So you can
Mhm.
be ready when you get them up. So you're not trying to rush around and get showered in and get breakfast and try to get them to get showered off and all this kind of thing. If you can get up, get yourself together, and then get them up, it just makes your morning go so much more easily and less chaotic.
That's true. That's true. I know I use my toaster. When school starts, the toaster stays on the counter, because your toaster's for your bagels, toaster for your English muffins, toaster for the bread,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. Or even, as the big guy says, where my Pop Tarts. He even you can toast the Pop Tarts. So they're there, and that's something that the children can do. And you don't mind they're going down and handling that in the kitchen. Now, so talking about essentials, as we talk about stocking up, we are looking at even some. I know most people have to pay for preschool, some of the
Mm-hmm.
pre-K. In some states, they may even at this point have to pay for kindergarten, because I know some of the monies that we're paying for kindergarten may have shifted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that, depending upon the state and the city where you are, you will know whether or not this is a concern. And so as you think about that, it may mean that you may have to supplement, as far
Mm-hmm.
as making sure, if you know that lunches are going to be teeny tiny, and they say, okay, but you can bring a snack and it's snack time, then snack may need to be heavier.
Yes.
So it may be something that's more protein based. I
Mm-hmm.
know, trying to look at some of those snacks. This is not the time for, I like peanut butter and jelly. You
Mm-hmm.
can't fail with peanut butter and jelly if you can have some type of nut butter. It
Oh,
doesn't
but
have
you
to
know
be
what
peanut
though?
butter. You
Some
have to be
schools are nut
careful.
free
That's
zones.
right. That's right. I was going to say,
I
some
forgot
at
about
some
that.
schools you can't. In fact, today, so many of them, you can't bring peanut butter, but
Mm-hmm.
you can bring almond butter, and
Yeah.
but almond butter is a little more pricey.
Well, if you're going to have, well, okay, let's circle back to that. So
Hmm.
many schools are nut-free zones, so you can't
Hmm.
send sandwiches to school with any
Hmm.
kind of nut butter, but
Hmm.
you can certainly have it on your pantry shelf for when they come home and they want a quick snack. They could do a
Hmm.
peanut butter sandwich or peanut butter on one of these apple slices or something like
Hmm.
that. They can certainly do that.
Yeah.
And then you can also send um, some of these, like packets of tuna or packets of chicken. You could
Hmm.
send that with them. And most of these little things like this may have like a little spoon or something in it. If
Mm-hmm.
not, you can put one in it. And then you can also put some crackers, depending
Yep.
upon what kind of
Yep.
crackers your family likes. You can just put together a little baggie
Mm-hmm.
or yes, like that.
And these come even in a smaller size.
Mm-hmm.
That's about a third of this. That would be perfect for crackers, or even if you wanted to do some of the, the tuna or whatever in one,
Mm-hmm.
you could have a little packet in each.
Yeah, tuna
And
and
now
chicken.
they have the lunch boxes that have the little dividers in them,
Yes.
and you can put the tuna in there. I know um, my granddaughter takes little muffins and cheese. We fix kind of a lunchable, an unlunchable lunchable. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
call it. This is our homemade lunchable. So
Lunchables.
whatever it is that she likes, whether it's turkey or now she doesn't like tuna, but she likes turkey, and so I'll slice her turkey. Put the little turkey slices in there. Sometimes I use a cutter and cut the cheese in little circles. We kind of
Ah,
do that together.
cute.
And so it's a chance for them to decide whatever the lunch is going to be. But we try to
Mm-hmm.
do that over the weekend. She likes fruit. And so we clean the fruit, have all the fruit in the refrigerator ready to go. And yes, yes, love the apples. And so we have apples. We can slice oranges. We can have strawberries, blueberries, and little frozen. These particular lunch packs come with these little ice packs that you
Mm-hmm.
can freeze and put into them, and so that they keep the lunch nice and cold.
Mm-hmm.
They're large enough to carry a little water bottle. And I've noticed that a lot of the elementary schools are asking the children to bring their water bottle, or their
Yes.
water with them so they can bring that. So
So many
that's
of these little kids have their own little Stanley cups. I'm just
they
amazed
do.
they have their own little Stanley cups. But Trey was saying her daughter's going into middle school in Georgia,
Hmm.
and on their supply list, they had to bring a clear water bottle. They could not bring like a Stanley cup or anything like that. I believe she
Oh,
said she needed a clear water bottle. So she was going to
huh.
that.
I guess that's to control what's in it. Or
I
have an
suppose, because I
idea.
suppose they worry more about that in middle school than they do in
Right,
elementary.
right. Elementary school, not so much. But
Mhm.
in middle school, yes, you just never know what might come in that door, I can tell you. But yes, I see Patty Pooh said little bento boxes. Yes, they are. And they are so nice to
Now, what
have.
is a bento box? I'm not sure I know what that is.
It's a little, like a little square rectangular box that has so many sections in it,
Oh,
and
okay. I got you.
it's chilled. I usually put it in the refrigerator the night before. That way, it's cold and it holds the cold. It's still cold when she gets home from school,
Hmm.
and so I can drop her blueberries in there, the strawberries are in there, her turkeys in there, the cheese is in there, and there's a place where I can put her little crackers. And so then once I close it, then I stick it in the regular lunchbox, and it just
Okay.
sits right in there. But some things, those are just things that we think about. We want it quick. We want that breakfast to be as fast as we can get. And yet, and still, we've got to think about our pockets. You
Oh, you know
know,
what? I can't remember who it was. Somebody had a question about hot lunches. One of the things that I used to do when Justin was taking his lunch, I would have like a
mm-hmm,
little thermos that was like
mm-hmm,
this. And let's say I made chicken noodle soup or the night before, or I wanted
mm-hmm,
to put a chicken leg in his
mm-hmm,
thermos. So sometimes I would take a chicken leg and I would tie like a little string around it and put it down inside the thermos. And then I would put the
mm-hmm,
chicken noodle soup down in there, close it up. And then when he got ready to have lunch the next, that day at school, he could just
mm-hmm.
pull the chicken leg out and everything was still nice and warm.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
that was an option. You could put soup in a
Hmm.
thermos, that kind of thing. And I think they're pretty sophisticated today with the kind of thermoses that they have for kids, and they're very
Hmm.
reasonably priced. So that is
Yes.
definitely something you can consider doing, is having a thermos that you kind of put their
Hmm.
um, warm things in that'll keep them warm,
Hmm.
and maybe keep the things cool that need to be cold. But
That need to be
typically, we're
covered.
more concerned about things staying warm. But that's certainly an option for you to consider.
And sometimes that may even drive some of the things that you prepared during the week, so that
Mm-hmm.
you have those little leftovers. And it goes back to those 2-cup containers, because most of those little thermoses will hold just about a cup and a half to 2 cups
Mm-hmm.
of whatever it is. I know now my kids, when I fixed macaroni and cheese, I knew I had to divide it up so that in their thermos they could have their mac and cheese. And
That goes back to your planning and putting stuff in that planner, how you have those little
absolutely,
stickers.
absolutely. So we want to be able to put things into the freezer in such a way that we can pull them out. And if we need to prep the fruit the night before, but in the case of an apple, we can do that right there in the morning
Mm-hmm.
very quickly if we want to send apples with the children. And of course, if we have older children, they can do it, and have it
Mm-hmm.
ready to go. So that's the nice thing about, having some older. And, for those who have younger children, I thought about the fact that if you homeschool, this
Mm.
is a great time for them to help you put lunch together, or even breakfast together, where they can suggest what the breakfast might be for the week, and give you some ideas, or you all can talk about it together and perhaps serve it together and prepare
Mm-hmm.
it together, and make that a little lesson. And it could be a lesson in measuring. And so, but those are opportunities. And those little like overnight oats, they are so much fun. And also the little yogurt cups are
Yes.
so nice to be able to put together with the yogurt and the granola and the fruit, that you can put together, have it ready almost for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and or at least 3 to 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you could prepare something else for the rest of the week. But those are things that are so simple, and that the kids can put together, and each one can put together their own little container. And those little jelly jars that we use a lot for our canning, they
Yes.
make the perfect jars for either the overnight oats or for the little yogurt cups, to be able to
Since
put
we're
those
talking
together.
about yogurt cups and snacks, let's
Hmm.
talk about after school snacks, because I
Hmm.
think that this is a good segue. So when
Hmm.
they come home from school, they're usually hungry and they want a
Hmm.
treat or a snack like right away. So
Absolutely.
one of the things that you can do as mom or dad is you can make cupcakes. And I got out a few of my cupcake pans, and I do have, sorry, I do have some smaller ones, but you can make cupcakes. These are regular
Hmm.
size cupcakes. I do have some that are smaller, but I'm not going to go get them and
Hmm.
make a whole bunch of clanking noise. These are jumbo cupcakes
Hmm.
holders,
Hmm.
and these are more like little loaves.
Hmm.
But you could make cupcakes or apple cake, something that it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be real sweet or anything like
Hmm.
that. It
Hmm.
can just be something that you've made at home. You can make them on the weekend, put them in an airtight
Hmm.
container. You could make them and freeze them, whatever, but get them out so that when the kids come home from school, they can
Hmm.
have that as a snack. Maybe they have that with some applesauce, and that'll hold them over until dinner.
Hmm.
Other things you can do now, you can have trail mix at home. They
Oh
can't
yeah.
take it to school, but you can
Hmm.
have trail mix that's ready at home, or
Hmm.
raisins and apples or whatever. You can have that at home for
Hmm.
them. And or again, the chicken and the tuna. Now the chicken and the tuna though, that's a little bit heartier snack. That might cut
Hmm.
into their appetite for dinner. So you want to think about that. But I like the idea of the yogurts and what you could do with the yogurts. I think you had, in the notes you had put those bins in there. You could stack a bunch of the yogurts in these plastic bins, and they could just reach in, grab a yogurt, have a yogurt with some granola or some of their trail mix, or just a yogurt by itself, but just something to hold them over until dinner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And fruit is always a good option, whether it's for
Yes.
after school or whether it's for before school. I saw that Sierra was talking about, well, first of all, let me go up here. Ronnie was saying, we were talking about the clear water bottles. And Ronnie said she always adds a clear water bottle in her granddaughter's backpack. And that way she has water during PE. And that's a good idea. Because of the fact that so many schools, I know I've taught at schools where goodness knows I would not have wanted to drink out of the water fountain. But Emma said that for dinner on busy weeks, she makes a pot of beans with just onions and some jalapenos. And she said one night it's soup and beans. Next night it's refried. She said you get a whole week of meals for a little time and a little money. And
Yes.
you're absolutely right. That's like last night I fixed actually 2 soups. I fixed Thai tomato soup, and I also did red beans and rice. But I cooked them right there so that I had 2 nights of dinner ready to go. And then I had enough left over to have some tomato soup for lunch. And so I threw those into the freezer. And so that gave you some options. But that was so easy of being able to put those together and right there. And then that way, that's 2 nights of dinner, or it could be lunch, because if kiddos like tomato soup, then put some in their thermos, and they have nice hot tomato soup for lunch.
Yes, with crackers and cheese.
Oh yeah, or even it could be a cheese sandwich. Who knows?
One other thing I was thinking about, and as we're looking at things that they can have for snacks, I guess I was thinking about the pantry essentials that they want to make sure they take advantage of now. Just like you had a shock overnight with the rise in coffee prices, like overnight. There's some other things that you might want to consider taking a look at, like now, to start stocking up on. And I think these little pouches, like if your kids drink these little juice pouches or juice boxes, you might want to start picking up some of those and have either tuck these into their lunch boxes or have one at home when they come home, that they can have this as a snack with something else. And then the other things that I think you'll want to start stocking up on are things like chocolate chip morsels, butterscotch morsels, those kinds of things. So you can start making your own cookies or your muffins and things like that. So you can have those things ready. You can maybe spend a day on the weekend making them, putting them in the freezer, and then pulling those muffins out during the week to have either for breakfast or for snacks. So that's something to have. And the trail mix, you want to make sure you have that for an at-home snack. And it goes really pretty good in yogurt sometimes. We call it nuts and berries in my house, but we'll have some yogurt and we'll put in some blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, or something like that. Sprinkle in some granola and some pecans or walnuts, and there's our nuts and berries for breakfast. But it's also a very good snack after school as well. So that's something else to think about. And then I think, black beans, other kinds of beans you want to make sure you've got. So for those breakfast burritos or for Taco Tuesday, which is a nice, quick and easy weeknight meal, you want to make sure you've always got some Mexican cheese in there, some tomatoes, some salsa, red and yellow peppers, and whatever kind of meat or whatever you want to build your taco with. We use a lot of black beans and corn on our tacos and salsa. And
now, do you chop your own peppers and put them in the oven? I mean, put them in the freezer?
So you could do all of that. And did you have some other thoughts about those essentials. Oh, and another one. You got to buy rotisserie chickens. When you see those rotisserie chickens on sale, pick them up because
Pick
they
them up.
make the best quick weeknight meals.
You're right. You're right. And the it's nice. Now, I'm not saying it's not nice to have your own whole chicken that you prepare,
Mm-hmm.
because certainly you can get a lot of meals out of those. But when you know that you've got a busy week, then you're looking for options. And sometimes it's well worth being able to pick up a couple of pre-prepared chickens and
Mm-hmm.
have them ready to go and have them in the freezer. I keep them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing to think about too, Tamara was saying that she homeschools and found that making breakfast and lunch ahead of time for the next day helps
Ah.
to reduce a lot of stress. And you figure if she's homeschooling and
Mm-hmm.
she's doing these things, then certainly for those who are trying to get the kiddos out the door, then that's a real hint to be able to say, make your breakfast or lunch or whatever it is, try to get those things done in advance if
Mm-hmm.
you can. Ola, I wanted to make sure that I came back to this. Ola, when I was talking about the little jars earlier, I was not saying that they were going to take the jars with them. No, I was saying they could make them, have them in the refrigerator, have them in the refrigerator. So either for breakfast, they can take one out, sit down, eat their breakfast before they leave, or they could have one when they got home from school that's already prepared and in the refrigerator. Oh no, definitely not traveling with glass.
Oh
That's
no, no.
something I just want to make sure I clarified that. Um, see, oh, oh my goodness, Jiffy
You gotta
Mix.
you want to have some Jiffy Mix on hand. Even though you can make your own cornbread mix,
Mm-hmm,
it's always nice to have a few boxes of Jiffy in your freezer so you can pull
mm-hmm,
it out in a pinch. So you're going to do that pot of beans and you're going to take a few cans of beans and put them in a pot and come up with a
mm-hmm,
bean soup or bean stew or chili. Grab one of these out of your freezer and then mix up a batch of muffins and you've got
mm-hmm,
dinner on the stove. And then you can always serve that chili with maybe some cooked apples or something like that, or a green
mm-hmm.
salad. But think about those quick weeknight meals. And Leona, I know you're really good at having like a list of quick weeknight dinners that people can have.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, guys, the next I just sent a newsletter out, and I've got two more that are in the queue, ready to come out. One is about. Let's see if I can find. I thought I had it right here. One is talking about your big salad bowl, or what I call the big bowl, of being able to put together a nice big bowl. It can be that
Mm.
big salad, it's still warm. And what better way of being able to set up like a little salad bar, and then everyone can fix their big bowl of salad, and that could include protein or not, whichever, whatever your family likes, but it gives you some suggestions. These bowls will be a part of the next newsletter. One's a little Asian bowl, and it has suggestions for cold as well as warm bowls that you can put
Mhm.
together for dinner or for lunch. Also, a Mediterranean bowl. Now, this
Ooh.
one in particular, I like. Uh, I like it warm for me, but the big guy likes it cold. So, it depends on how you want to put it together, but it gives you some options. And with that rice cooker, man, you can fix your rice, or whether you like quinoa or couscous, whatever it may be. It gives you some options that you can be able to put that together, as well as a green goddess bowl, which
Oh.
is all the good green stuff, and a delicious green goddess dressing, because this is a salad bowl and that you can also put together. And then Miss Denise's favorite, the Southwest bowl of pudding. And this is where, if you want to fix enough rice for the week, you may plan for the week that this is going to be the rice week,
Mhm.
and have rice bowls planned at least, say, 3 nights of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And the rice is already cooked. It is already zipped for however many nights that you plan. You may run your rice cooker a couple of times over the weekend so that you have your rice ready to go. You may cook the meat, the protein that you're going to prepare if you're going to do protein, and definitely have the veggies in the freezer ready to go that you can toss together and put them together. What a quick way to be able to have
Yes.
dinner on the table, and so easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids can help you. But
Yes.
these are ideas that are going to be coming that will be in the newsletter. And so for some of you, I know
That
most
means
of
you
you,
got to sign up.
right, most of you, a lot of you who are in the chat are already a part of that list. But for those of you who aren't a part of the newsletter, go down in the description box, sign up for the newsletter, because these are going to be ideas that will be coming to you through the newsletter. And so you will want to be able to pick yours up. Now, organizing your pantry. Now, Miss Denise, were you one that had a special place for all the fun snacks in your pantry that the kids could get to?
I do. I have a basket that I keep on the bottom shelf in my
Mhm.
pantry, and so everybody knows to look in there for snacks like popcorn, potato chips, pretzels, different things like that. They know to look in there. But these are bagged snacks. But if you are putting snacks in the fridge, then you might want to consider a clear bin like that you could put some things in. So that's certainly an option there.
Mm-hmm. You know that, and I would think that would be a great place that in your pantry. And I mean, at this point, no matter how old your child is, even if your child is our age,
70.
but they need snacks too,
Yes,
snacks.
they do.
And so I still have the snack box in the same place,
What?
and
He
he
said he
uses
don't
it as
appreciate
much.
that.
Is he in there? He likes his snacks. So, but it's a great place to be able to put the snacks in one
Mm-hmm.
place where the kids can go, whether it's chips. And what I used to do I'd buy, because it's more economical to buy the larger bags of chips.
Yes.
And then I divide them. I just take, get some Dollar Tree or whatever snack bags and divide the chips. And that way I can put those bags into the snack
Oh.
container, and our pretzels or whatever it may be, but they're pre-divided. They go into the basket, and there's enough in there that by the end of the week, most of them are usually gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we also do the little Lance's crackers.
Oh,
You get,
yes, I love those.
I love those. And so, but they're nice to have. And that's something that's small. If your child has to take a snack, that's an easy snack to be able to
And you can
drop
get
into the
those at Dollar
backpack.
Tree too.
Yes. And so many of our children do sports after school. So it's easy to have those snacks,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can drop into the bag and have them ready to go. So when you're
Sure.
thinking about snacks, make a list with the kids as to what kind of snack they are, no matter what the age might be,
Mm-hmm.
what the snack may be. But certainly we want to be able to do that. Um, can you think of anything else we've left out? I know you got an awful lot over there.
I think we talked about, you and I talked about sheet pans. You had sheet pan meals on your list.
Yes, sheep pan. Now
And so
that's one
I
of the
did
things
get,
too. Yeah.
yeah. So I did get out of like a little sheet pan like this. And
Mm-hmm.
you can do root vegetables, you could do lasagna, you could do whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but some kind of a baked meal
Mm-hmm.
that you could
Mm-hmm.
do, and then get it out of the pan and freeze it, or have half of it one night and put the other half in the freezer for another night. Or if you've
Mm-hmm.
got a big enough family that you need the whole thing for one night, make 2 so that you can set one aside for the upcoming week. Because if you're going to make something, go ahead and make 2 of it, just so you've got one for the
Exactly.
following week. But be sure to put it in your planner on your inventory so that you know you've got this for next week. So you want to be sure to do that. And then I have these other sheet pans out, because you can do like sheet pans like this where you're actually roasting vegetables. And I've seen a couple where you start out with the meat and then you scoop the meat to one end of the pan and then put the veggies or something else like that on the other end of the pan. You can consider those kinds of things. And then the other thing that I thought about, meatloaf I love. But also take those little meatloaf and make little balls and put them in your muffin tin. And now you've got little individual servings of meatloaf. And you could either do it in a muffin tin like this, or you could do it in a tin like this. And then, you know, use the ones you need for dinner and then freeze the other half for next week. Or like I said earlier, make 2 sets so that you've got 4. And you know who does a great job of this? Cassandra at Becoming a
Yes,
Farm
she
Girl.
does. Yes, she does.
I mean, it's like that woman is amazing with the way
I
she's able to come
know.
up with meals that you can like make one and then able to finesse it into 2, 3, or even 4 meals. But the meatballs and things like that, you can certainly
She does. She does. She does an excellent job.
Oh, and the other thing that I forgot to mention was cans of meat. Cans of tuna or cans of chicken. You could do quick chicken salad, or you could do chicken and dumplings, chicken
tuna
and
salad
with these, and tuna salad, tuna salad, chicken salad, chicken and noodles, tuna noodle casserole with a little mushroom soup or cream of chicken soup or whatever. But these are also quick weeknight meals, and that's what you want to be able to keep it moving during the week. It's quick weeknight.
Absolutely. I agree. Now, so we've got our routine that we're going to work. We've got our bins for our snacks. And it could be that you may have a bin for snack. You may have a place in your refrigerator for breakfast, little breakfast ideas, whether it's your oatmeal or whether it's your yogurt or whatever it may be that you're going to do. Or it could be your breakfast biscuits one week that you decide that you want to make. And so those
I'm
are
going to have
those
to do
great.
that. I like your breakfast biscuit idea.
I love it. I love to be able to do it. It just saves so much. But you want to be able to keep your breakfast and your dinner simple. And you just try to rotate the favorites. It's not that we're looking at 30 days of fantastic breakfasts or for 30 days of fantastic lunches. Once you find what works, rotate it and keep it going. And until you have something new. So, Miss Denise, I don't know about you, but I think we will do a little further talking because we've still got some more things that we need to talk about. And I'm going to be taking a look at and showing some things about planning and the calendar. That's going to be coming up soon on the channel. And keep a whiteboard, for those of you who have a very busy family, or if you have a printable calendar, or, I went to Dollar Tree to get one of their nice, calendars that they have that's pretty big. They didn't have any. So
it's back to school time.
It's back to school. You're supposed to have the calendar. The lady said, I know. She said, I can't believe all this stuff is here and there's no calendars. So maybe they're just late coming in. But that's something to keep your eye out because that is the best calendar. For $1.25, that's a great calendar to be able to have in your kitchen where you can put down your meals and also keep up with everyone's schedule. Use your planner. If you're a planner person, it's a nice place to be able to keep everything all together. So, guys, What is your most favorite one meal that you could eat every week and never get tired of? Miss Janice, what would be yours?
Taco Tuesday, my rice bowl, where I would have my rice on the bottom, my black beans, my corn, my salsa, maybe a little cheese, some avocado, and then my homemade taco sauce. I could have a taco rice bowl every week.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, mine is chicken noodle soup. I could have
Oh,
chicken noodle soup every week from
yeah, I could
now
too.
until I love chicken noodle soup. And it is just one of those things that just takes me back to childhood. And it is so comforting. But to those of you in the chat, I hope you'll think about some of those things and what is your favorite. Terry, if you'll look down in the description box, you can certainly sign. It tells you how to sign up for the newsletter. And I look forward to seeing you. And we've got moms, we've got grandmothers, we've got dads, we've got uncles, we've got aunts. Everybody is here in the chat. So while you may not be the person who's necessarily getting those little ones out every day, you may certainly be the one who's helping to support them.
Mm-hmm.
So keep this in mind. I hope our ideas have helped you get started
Yes.
because we're not through. And, we're going to be circling back to some of this all along the way. And I look forward to talking to you. I see we've got a burrito bowl
Yep.
that's here. All right. I love it. And so that's one of those meals that is so easy to put together.
Very
So
easy.
I am looking forward to hearing from all of you as to what you're doing at the start of school. And Emma gave a suggestion of she made some fabric napkins and
Oh.
baggies. And she said it's been so much cheaper than plastic bags for packing lunches. And she definitely recommends it.
Hmm.
So that's a great idea. I hadn't thought
Yeah.
about that. So that's something to keep in mind. Absolutely. Emma, thank you for sharing that with us.
It'd be
And
real cute too.
so, yeah. So we'll see what we can do with that. But I am so glad to see all of you here tonight. I hope it has been beneficial. And like I said, we've got more things yet to come, more suggestions yet to come, more meals yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
And, guys, all of us need to be able to make bread. So we're going to be working on that bread coming up, having some more homemade bread, because that's one of the things I did when the kids was here. I made the bread in advance, had it in the refrigerator, took it out each morning that they were here, got it all together. Dinner, hot bread was coming out of the oven. And they
I
just
know
thought,
they thought they had died and gone to heaven.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And they were so tickled. That's all every time I talked, they said, oh, Mimi, we want more bread. So keep that in mind. It's the little things. It's the little things. Now, Hazel said her one thing that she could eat every week are her veggie burgers, and even twice a week. Yes, I
Oh,
am a
okay.
fan of veggie burgers too. And now that I can't have a regular hamburger, and I'm so annoyed. And I'll say this before we get ready to close. It's funny because you would think as many plant-based people who are in the United States that every restaurant would have some type of meal that's plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not the case.
Really?
No, and we're talking national restaurants, like Outback, like, was it Longhorn? And I know they're specialty steak,
They're
but
steakhouses.
everybody who walks in there isn't a steak eater. And everyone who walks in there doesn't necessarily eat meat. But you'd think they'd have at least something. If Subway can have a plant-based option, then I think everybody should have a plant-based option. So it's just funny, to go into those places and try to work through that plant-based meal. But we're getting there. And by the way, let me do a shout out for Tamaril, because Tamaril knew that I was trying to get back on my plant-based journey. And she was kind enough to contact me at the very beginning, and she has done it with me along the way, and has stayed in touch and encouraged me all along the way. And she gave me a little rundown this past week of how she did through the month of July. And we talked about that back and forth. So, we're not, and there are some others who are out there also who are on the journey with me. And not just with me, some have been doing it, like Kimberly, who was here last week. Kimberly, who is over in England. Mm-hmm. She is, I haven't seen her tonight, but I talked to her earlier today. But she's a plant-based person as well. And so we've been having good conversation about that. But just keep that in mind. There are a lot of people out here who are trying to improve their health, trying to change their diets. And the best way to do it is to do it together. Mm-hmm. So, Miss Denise, thank you so much for the time that you've taken tonight. And I know you have a heart for the little ones and a heart for the moms and dads. Yeah. So thank you so much. And thank you to those of you who are here with us in the chat, and those who are at home who did not necessarily chat, but you're with us anyway. Mm-hmm. We're glad that you're here tonight. And so for those who are in the replay, I hope that you will respond. Let us know what you're thinking and let us know what you're doing, because inquiring minds want to know. Mm-hmm. And so we will keep you in our prayers and in our hearts. So to all of you, have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, don't forget Miss Denise's course. Yes, I can talk about that.
Oh, yes, I almost forgot. So you guys know I've been doing some water bath canning, and I've been working on my water bath canning course, and it is finally done, and it was published yesterday. So my course, it's called Yes You Can, A Beginner's Guide to Water Bath Canning. So if you've been wanting to learn how to do water bath canning, I've got a course that walks you through it step by step and teaches you how to get things done. So, and I do have the link in the description box. You can click the link and then you can sign up that way. So yes, I'm glad you reminded me. I almost forgot.
But and let's not forget Apron Diva.
And of course, Apron Divas, we believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. So check us out at www.aprondiva.com. We have some things that are on sale and some things that are back in stock. So please check us out.
All right.
And thank you for that reminder. And also, Miss Leona is on her way to 5,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed to her channel, please do that so that she can get there. We would like to be at that 5K by the end of August, if at all possible. So join her family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to all of you, we say thank you and have a blessed evening. We'll see you soon.